It's official, the tent has a new queen. Nigella Lawson is to be the new judge for the Great British Bake Off, replacing Prue Leith, who has been the judge for many years now. While Paul Hollywood is looking for technical perfection, Nigella has always been about one thing: unapologetic pleasure. But is she the right person to take up the title of the judge in the tent? Well, to figure that out, I'm going to test out 3 of her most popular baking recipes and see exactly what they're made of and decide if that earns her the position of the Great British Bake Off judge. I'm going to kick off with her Guinness cake. Now, this is an interesting one for me. I don't like Guinness. I've never enjoyed the taste of it. It's not for me. It's incredibly popular. I know I'm in the minority here, so great, you do you. But it's such a popular cake with so many rave reviews, I've got to try it. She describes it herself as having gingerbread without the spices, which really intrigues me. So to make a start, I've got some sour cream, into which I'm adding 2 eggs and a little vanilla. I've just measured out about 250 ml, half of this bottle, and just to check if I do still dislike Guinness, let's find out.
Oh, jeez, old man.
Yeah, it's not for me. Yes. There are some foods that I dislike, but I can see why other people like them. Flavours like that, I taste it and I think, I don't know why people like it. I can't. More power to you. There's not a knock on Guinness. It's clearly a me thing, not a you thing. I don't get it. But let's see how it comes out when it's cooked. So I've just heated the Guinness gently and I'm going to add an entire 250 gram pack of butter and just let that melt. Give it a little encouragement too. I'm going to add some cocoa and quite a lot of sugar. I mean, hopefully by adding butter and sugar and cocoa, all things I like, it might make it palatable to me. Yeah, now it looks quite nice. But it just looks like very thick cocoa. I'm gonna add back in our sour cream and eggs and vanilla mixture. And then adding in flour and raising agent in the form of bicarb. And I wished I'd used my next size saucepan up, as it's getting quite full. I'm just going to pour that into a tin lined with baking paper. That's now going to go in the oven, about a 160 oven, for about 45 minutes. Obviously this has got raw eggs and other stuff in, but I'm going to try it anyway. Let's try it now it's been sweetened and buttered up. Okay, I'm getting treacle flavour off that. Turns out, if you take something you dislike and add loads of butter and sugar and cocoa to it, you might actually like it. Who knew? And while my cake bakes, I'm going to make the topping. Now, as a little joke, we've got this dark cake and then a very brilliant white icing on top, so you get the kind of Guinness, pint of Guinness effect. And that's achieved with cream cheese, icing sugar, and just a touch of corn flour. Just going to lightly beat them together. Then I think I'll get the whisk on it. The Guinness cake has had 50 minutes. It says bake for 45 minutes to an hour. No indication of what the difference between 45 minutes and an hour should be. I guess it's to do with, does a skewer come out clean? Which it does. So yeah, this has had 50 minutes. It is a very dense cake. She does warn that, and that there will be cracks, but of course we're going to ice the top of it. So we're advised to leave this to cool completely in the tin before doing anything with it. So I imagine that will need at least an hour or so. So the cake is ready. So I've just whipped up some cream. Just going to fold that into my cream cheese icing. So the cake has had time to rest. It's definitely got a sort of deeply sweet, savoury fragrance to it. Now let's put some icing on it. Possibly this is a little looser than Nigella was hoping for. A cake of this height. So we'll see. I have a tiny bit more icing left, but I don't want to push it any further and ruin the look for YouTube. So I'm going to leave it there. All right, well, I think we need to give this a try. First part of the cake, always difficult to get out. I'm also going to take a very small slice because I've got multiple cakes to eat. This is Nigella's Guinness cake from someone who doesn't like Guinness. That is incredibly tasty. I mean, really good. And I sort of know that the flavour is Guinness because I put it in there. But I think if you told someone, or if you asked someone what was in it, they wouldn't say, oh, it's Guinness. It's just got this like treacle cake-like flavour. Yeah. It's an excellent icing, but it's, oops, cream cheese and sugar. What's not to like? It's a very soft chocolate cake-like consistency. Very good. For Nigella's next trick, an all-in-one, oh, she says old-fashioned chocolate cake, and yet we use a food processor to make it. Now, I'm a big fan of this because everything's just going to go in the food processor, poured in a tin, baked. I like the sound of that. Let's see how it comes out. Flour, sugar, bicarb, baking powder, cocoa, vanilla, butter, sour cream, and a couple of eggs. And that's it. I'm just going to whizzle this up until it it's a nice smooth batter. Nigella says you could absolutely do this by hand, but why do we have these modern toys if we're not going to use them? So yeah, that's a really thick, smooth batter. It looks more like icing than batter, actually. What makes these even more interesting tests is, some of you have probably already noticed from this video or others, I'm not much of a baker. I've baked cakes, of course I have. I'll be honest, I've always found it difficult. It's never quite come out the way I wanted it to. You know, it's too dry, or frankly, it's ugly looking. And what's appealed to me about these recipes, a lot of these will be covered with an icing that will allow us to forgive all sins. So, let's see how this works. And they will go into the oven for about half an hour. So my chocolate cakes are finished, and they, again, slight cracking on the top. Skewer comes out clean. I'm going to leave them to cool completely before turning them out. And so the icing for the chocolate cakes, while they cool, I've just melted some chocolate and some butter together here. Just a few more ingredients to go with that. Just about a tablespoon of golden syrup. Yet more sour cream. One of her favourite ingredients, I'm learning. A lot of icing sugar. Right, that's our icing. And we've had a slight accident in transferring. It broke apart while I was doing it in my hands. Luckily, this is one of those cakes where I can reassemble it, and the icing should help sort of glue it back together. In fact, she says do it this way, the dome side down. So I'm going to get about a third, spread that on. I thought this might be too runny, but actually it's setting quite fudgy as it sits. We get our another little friend on top, another third in there. And then we're supposed to spread the rest around the sides, and you know what, that's not one of those things I've ever done, so let's try and fail it on camera today. I've got my palette knife to the side, but I'll come in with that for a finish. I've got a little bit of icing left, but I'm not going to push it any further. I think that is our chocolate cake. Okay, so it's a little bit messy, but it's a real Bruce Bogtrotter of a cake, isn't it? Exactly what you think of when you say, I want chocolate cake. That thick, crusted cake. In for the chocolate cake then. And she calls this an old-fashioned chocolate cake, and it's exactly the sort of thing you'd expect for a birthday party or something like that. You don't need me to tell you what that tastes like. It's got lovely tender sponge, which I broke, remember, and a lovely thick icing full of sugary chocolateness. If you make that, take that round someone's house for tea, they'll be your best friend. Brilliant. Now, Nigella is also really well known for Pavlovas. When her book How to Be a Domestic Goddess appeared when was that, 99, 2000? It absolutely catapulted her into the scene of cakes and baking, and her Pavlova was regarded by many as a key recipe. So let's try out the lemon Pavlova, which she actually says was inspired by an appearance on the Great British Bake Off, funny that, by the brilliant Michael Sheen.
Oh my God, it works. Absolutely stunning.
Oh, come on! Yes!
Got some egg whites here. I'm going to gradually add sugar, just whip them up so they're nice and foamy. That's given us those brilliant white meringues, and you can't ask me to do the flip it over your head test because nothing clings to these stainless steel bowls. And now we're just going to add a little bit of corn flour and some lemon zest and juice. And now that's going in an oven for 1 hour. And so here is my meringue, fully cooled and inverted. That is the side that it was cooked on, as per Nigella's instructions. It's ever so slightly tender, slightly squidgy in the middle, very crisp on the outside, which is good, right? You get that combination of flavours and tastes. So we're going to add some lemon curd, just stuff I've got from the shop, just bashing it up with a spoon. Just makes it a bit more spreadable, breaking it down slightly. There's our lemon curd. And now some dollops of cream. Just going to very casually spread it, just allowing some of that curd to peek through. And then finally some flaked almonds that I've just gently dry fried just to toast. And that is Nigella's lemon Pavlova. Very reminiscent of a lemon meringue pie, of course, with actual meringue, lemon curd and cream, which is very much, I think, the vibe she was going for. I can't wait to give it a try. And so let's try some meringue. I'm actually not going to cut a cake wedge. If I cut a slice, it'll be massive. So I'm going to cut a very awkward shape. There's that video, isn't there, of someone cutting a slice of cake out of here. So that meringue, just cooked on the outside, still a bit squashy in the middle. Oh, that's sensational. That is everything you want it to be. With cream and curd, crispy, squishy meringue. The nuts are interesting too. It's a triumph. She made her name with Pavlovas, and it's not hard to see why. 3 brilliant bakes there from Nigella Lawson. The Guinness cake, the lemon Pavlova, the chocolate cake. They're all stunners in their own way, and if you make it, take it to a friend, you'll be extremely popular. Speaking of which, I need to get rid of all these somewhere. I've had a lot of sugar today. You might ask me, if I have to make any one of them, which one should I make? Well, actually, they're all good in their own way. The chocolate cake is a very classic chocolate cake. You know what you're going to get. You already know people in your life that will like that. This lemon jobby is really interesting, probably better at something summery, nice and light. This Guinness cake, really interesting. A good one to take to your friends and say, what's in this? And see if they can work it out. It's delicious regardless. I think with those 3 recipes alone, Nigella can take this pretty rubbish baker and generate 3 amazing cakes, and therefore claims her crown at the Bake Off tent. I hope you enjoyed that. If you did, please consider hitting subscribe, and I will see you next time.